Hello, word nerds! Happy Sunday! Today's topic is cybersecurity and building your online platform and how to manage some kind of internet safety when you're supposed to be very, very visible on the internet as an author, blogger, vlogger, human being. We could all use these tips. So tonight we're going to be talking about some dangerous situations on the internet, how to avoid them while still maintaining your online presence and being very accessible. We're going to wing it because we don't have a real outline of tonight. So I have no idea where we're starting.
We're missing Kelly.
Yes.
In line.
Well, Kelly's probably going to chat with us in the comments at some point too, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
She promised.
So do we want to start maybe... What's that?
I said she promised.
Oh.
Someone's getting like beaten in the background.
Somebody murdered?
Yeah, my husband's walking upstairs. It might be that.
So no one's being murdered.
All I can hear is thumping.
Our stairs are loud.
Do we want to talk a little bit about some of the interesting and a little horrifying stories that we've heard? Like, I was just looking some of them up. I know that the big one, I think it was last year or the year before, a literary agent was attacked because she was updating on the app called Foursquare. And there are actually other apps. Like, I noticed when I take a picture and go to upload it on Facebook, my iPhone tries to say, what's your location? So that is something we can talk about, because I'm not telling my iPhone my location. I don't want everyone on Facebook to know where I am. Because that includes, you know, in my house. So my address, you know.
Yeah,
Well,
and even just like checking into a restaurant, they give you a little map, and so they can be like, well, it must be somewhere in this circle, because probably aren't driving that far away to a restaurant.
One rule that I always usually try to abide to, if I can remember to, is either untag it while I'm, like, if I'm posting a picture on Instagram or Foursquare or Facebook or something that will automatically try to tag it, I'll try to untag it or not post it until after I've left. So that way you're gone by the time anyone could be like, she's here.
Yeah. Right, yeah. Wait, what is Foursquare? I don't actually know what that is.
It's basically...
Well, I was going to say, it's basically an app where, as far as I know, you just log in where your location is, isn't it? Just like you tweet your location.
You check in at separate places. You can hook it to your Twitter, but you do get certain like perks from checking in certain places so many times. So like when I check into a grocery store so many times, I might get a deal on something.
Oh.
And sometimes
so that's why you would actually do it.
Yeah, not just be like, here's where I am. Come and find me in the dairy aisle.
Shopping for the win.
I'm the one with a cart full of cheese.
Well, I actually follow one author on Twitter, and he was saying, he did a blog post on this because he couldn't figure out why he had actually a female stalker, one of his readers, who was, I guess, his real-life biggest fan, and she kept showing up at places. Like, he'd be writing at a coffee shop, and she'd be showing up, or he'd go to a restaurant with his wife, and she'd show up, you know, stuff like that. And he figured out really quickly that she was following him on Twitter and figuring out where he was constantly because of the Foursquare app and because he kept checking in at the restaurant and the coffee shop and stuff like that, right? Even if you say, like, tweet to everyone, oh, I'm writing at the Starbucks coffee shop, and they know, like, sort of what town you're in. If it's a small town, you might want to avoid saying where, you know, even the name of the coffee shop, you know?
I've heard that there's a basic rule of thumb that if you still want to use Foursquare and let people know where you're going, it's more easier to know where you've been. So it's like, wait until you actually leaving the place.
Yeah.
Like when you're on your way out the door, check in. That way people can see that you're there, but you're actually not, if that makes any sense.
And that's a pretty good, like, life safety tip too, because you don't want to be like posting on your social media that you're out of town for the weekend, because it makes your house a risk.
It doesn't even have to be for the weekend. Like if you're tagging you and a bunch of your friends and like even the people you live with, that you're out somewhere else, even out for dinner, that leaves people knowing, well, there's nobody at their house, so let me go like take a look around myself. So
burgle,
steal their books.
Burgle.
Burgle. That's what I'd do. No,
That's why Erica has a Foursquare. She's like tracking all of us.
I just want to see who I can burgle.
I don't even like the idea of the Foursquare app. Like, I really don't like, even, I don't think I would even do it like where, you know, just leaving the coffee shop, just because I'm like, maybe I go to this coffee shop all the time and I never know who's on Twitter being like, well, she goes to this coffee shop all the time.
Yeah.
So if I go, I might catch her there. You know, I don't want anyone.
I think there are ways to make it private, or like only your friends on Foursquare can see it, or you can like attach it to your Twitter page. So there are ways to like privatize your social media, and you need to know how to do that if you want to share things like that, which is why my Facebook is private, because there are some places where I check in that are like too close for home to share with everybody.
Close to home.
And you can lock down your Facebook kind of a lot. Like, mine is set, like, people can't even add me as a friend unless we have friends in common.
Yeah, I actually think that that's something that we should talk about too, because a shocking amount of people have I think they just leave their Facebook on the automatic settings. Like, I'm shocked at the amount of people that I have actually been able to look up and see all their pictures and status updates and stuff. Where I'm like, you know, you should never actually have your Facebook available for the general public to look at. It, like, well, except for in my case, because I just add everyone because I use it on an author page. But if you've got pictures of your kids or your family or whatever on there, you should make sure you go to your privacy settings and edit that.
I'll admit that I was one of those people that just kind of left it as default and made it pretty open. Until I had a kid, and then I was like, well, why don't we change this up a little bit? So now Facebook lets you choose, like, when you upload a picture, each individual photo, how you want it viewed, where you can either view it like friends of friends, or you can make it viewable to everybody. So if it's like a book status update, I'll make it viewable to everybody. So if you go on my page, like, you might see a couple, like, different, like, my progress reports from Goodreads or something, but all of my personal pictures are kept private.
Yeah, and that's something you have to check pretty often because, and this is like super obnoxious, but it has happened in the past where like Facebook changes their default settings and everyone gets refreshed to the default again.
Which is, did they warn you about that? Did they tell you when that's happening?
No.
No,
I've never been warned.
Just go like a couple times a month and just like view your profile as public. You can view it as public to see how other people would see it. And then just scroll and be like, is there anything on here that I wouldn't want other people to see because of security reasons? Yeah. Because I have a lot of things that are public on my personal page, but it's things that I've shared on like my author page that I then shared on my personal page and felt fine with making it public. But I'm not going to share like all of the pictures that I've ever posted ever, because there's ones from high school that, one, I don't think everybody should be seeing anyway, but like you might be able to kind of narrow down where I lived.
That's also something we can talk about, 'cause since we all vlog a lot. We were talking about this pre-chat, is be careful where you vlog. Like, we were talking about the thing with John Green, right, where fans showed up on his doorstep and stuff because they figured out where he was on Google Maps. So
don't do that.
Yeah. Well.
Don't show up at anyone's house ever unless you're invited.
Yeah. Very creepy.
That should just be a life
Good
rule.
life rule. Yeah.
Just for anything, never show up unless you're invited.
Fairly common sense there, but some people I think are really caught up in their loving of their favorite author and they overstep boundaries. But just for people that are first vlogging, maybe just make sure that you don't, you know, if you do it out in your yard, that's fine. Just make sure that nobody can, you know, zoom in or whatever and see your address, or nobody can find your house on Google Maps, because Google Maps is super detailed. If they can see what street you're on and what your house looks like, they can find you, you know, that type of thing. So
yeah, and it's
which you
super
wouldn't think of until someone did it.
Yeah, it's really fun to vlog while like walking places or while biking or any of that stuff too. But you have to be careful about where you choose to do it, because there are street signs all over the place.
So do it either far enough from home that you're like comfortable that, oh, they're not going to be able to find me, or just do it and don't show any of the signs, or just don't do it if you're not confident that you're not going to be able to like crop around landmarks.
Or blur out street signs and stuff.
And as far as like vlogging too, I've always heard that like people can try to tell the interior of your house, which, I mean, as long as you don't show the exterior, I think you'll be fine. And, you know, do the obvious steps of not having people find out where you live. But for the most part, all of my blogs have been, like, against a wall or, like, in my nook somewhere. Like, I have, like, a quote-unquote set, like, where I shoot, because so this is basically all that you get to see. Pretty much. Really hard to find out where I live by that.
I know where you live. I can tell by the shadows on your wall. We actually have a comment here by NanoGeek that I want to bring up to bring us to our next topic that I was just thinking of. He said, I don't have my last name on Twitter, and I try to keep my handle not associated with it because I don't want pervs in my town to be able to see it. Now, here's a tricky thing. When you're a vlogger or a blogger, you don't have to have your last name out there. But when you're an author, you do reach this territory where you either have to have a pen name or your full name out there. People are going to know it. So that's a different kind of security of, people know my last name. My full name is Erica Crouch. So you can search for me, and you can probably find a lot of stuff about my books and all of that, but I have to make sure that the only things you'll find when you search for Erica Crouch are related to books and not like, she was born at this time, at this hospital, in this location. Or she lives here now. Like, you have to make sure that you're keeping things compartmentalized. So how do you guys plan to handle, like, pen names? Is that the way to go? Is it, how do you make sure, like, Erin, you're on Wattpad and everybody knows your full name, so how do you handle privacy when they know you? They know you.
That was a creepy little whisper afterwards. Thanks for that. Latimer is actually not my real last name now. It used to be. So, but I'm also, you know, like, I'm not in the phone book. I don't know. They'd have to try really hard to try to find my real last name and address. So, I don't know. Yeah, I just have to use my maiden name.
So it's like a sort of pen name.
Sort of pen name, yeah. It still belonged to me at one point, but.
I think it's really, when you have your last name out there already, you have to be really careful about what you put out, because it would be easier to narrow down, not even just like information about where you live, but personal information. Like, I was reading a bunch of articles earlier this week because I'm thinking of giving out or selling signed copies of my books, and a lot of people were saying, like, come up with a different signature, because if you use it on all of your legal documents, it's easier to steal your information and all that. I'm like, I can't come up with another signature. It took me so long to get this one. So there's, like, a lot of tips of, like, when you sign something, make sure that you write, like, a personalized note so they can't just transfer it on to whatever they want.
Right.
Make sure you're staying on top of your bank account so nobody, like, opens a credit card in your name.
Right, and that's one thing. Like, not only am I using a pen name, my first name is real, but my last name is a pen name. But it may be, like, slightly paranoia in a way, but what would be my author signature is very different from how I sign my name, like on a receipt or something. So they do vary differently. Like, and I've actually practiced it because I have really, really bad handwriting, and I wanted something really cool for my author signature, so I did something different than what my average, like, just regular old John Hancock.
See, I feel like if I changed my signature, I would change my legal signature to something else, because I love my signature now, and I'd want to use it on everything. I just, like, as long as you're staying on top of your, like, banking information, I don't feel there's any real harm in it, because that's the worst thing that could happen with your signature. Someone tries to steal your identity and open up a new credit card to spend all of your stuff.
Freecreditreport.com.
Oh dear. I've also heard online not to put your full birth date, because it makes it easier for people to steal your identity. Like, you could say, oh, your birthday is on May 9th, but don't add the date you were born.
Yeah. I feel like people
that's hard.
Figure it out for me, because they know how old I am, but the people just searching for numbers wouldn't be able to come come across it. They really have to know you and like think about it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been really secretive with my birth date. I think that's the one thing that I've always just kind of been like okay with. But definitely no phone numbers of even like just the star and like the last couple digits.
Yeah.
Like no phone numbers, no addresses, no credit card information.
No
the
social
obvious
security number. Don't put that anywhere.
those street addresses. Like if it's something that people can use to identify you and it's like an actual like piece of documentation, like you don't want to share that on the internet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so also it's a good thing to be, because I know that some authors or actors or whatnot have had their accounts, like email accounts and Facebook accounts and stuff hacked. So it's also important to change your password frequently and to have a password that people aren't going to be able to predict. Like you might not want to have your password of your email account as one of the characters in your stories. Because, you know, that type, or your dog or whatever, if you tell people on the internet what your dog's
My password's just Erica1.
My password is
password. I was just going to say my password is password.
That's one thing I need to work on more. I admittedly don't do it as often as I should. But especially because that Heartbleed bug that went around, like I checked all of that and I changed all my passwords, and now I'm trying to get into a routine of doing it regularly.
There's not, until you go and change all of your passwords, you forget how many accounts you have online. Because that's my main problem. Like, oh, I gotta go change like 50 website passwords.
Yeah, I like to pick and choose. I'm like, which ones are the most important?
One mistake that you can make though is I know it's really hard to keep everything like contained. Don't write them down on a piece of paper unless you put that piece of paper in a safe behind lock and key, because you never know what's going to happen to that one little piece of paper.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's like that one piece of paper is to like be one key to your entire life.
Yeah.
It will unlock everything.
It does suck though because I have such a bad memory.
Yeah, me too.
I don't write it down.
Didn't work well for Neville, and it won't work well for you.
There you go.
I need to remember all.
No, but the remember-alls, first of all, I've got an issue with remember-alls. What you forget. They're just like, you forgot something. Like, thanks.
Like,
I know.
It's teasing you.
That's true. It wouldn't help me at all. It'd be like, Aaron, you forgot something.
Useless piece of learning technology.
Oh no, you forgot something.
Then I would panic.
How helpful.
You're up to the minute reminder of how bad you're sucking at life.
Yeah, pretty much. Also, I think it's important to remember that, like, for people that are just starting to write, they're just starting to write, and they're just trying to collect a fan base, and eventually they're hoping to publish, is that anything you put on the internet is forever and ever and ever. So that's something we can talk about too.
Yeah. And I think we talk about that some in our Netiquette chat that we did a while back. So there's a lot of great stuff in there too. But I saw just today even an agent tweeting about how someone pitched them their masterpiece manuscript, and then that agent looked at the person. The person described their manuscript as a masterpiece.
Oh,
which
great.
is your first problem.
Yeah, great.
But that agent then looked at that person's Twitter and saw that that person had tweeted at another agent like that it was going to be the biggest mistake of their life that they didn't accept the manuscript.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, people talk. Like, they all see
Hard
it.
pass.
Yeah.
Hard pass.
Yeah, that's definitely more, like, that's more along the lines of, like, you know, we could also talk about that, too, a little bit. It's not as much internet safety as, like, protecting your reputation and making sure that you don't cause a scandal for yourself later down the road. Like, you know, I'm sure J.K. Rowling, if she had, like, bad pictures online, or if she had a blog post where she came off in a negative light, that would have been dug up and just spread all over the place,
and
right?
even if you delete it from the internet, you know someone screenshot it. It's going to be out there, and they're going to save it until you do something like big, and then they're going to be like,
in the Google cache, like I don't know how long Google, like the cache image like directory thing keeps the images of the blog posts. But I have seen that like a lot in the big scandals of, you know, writers or authors like bashing all of the negative reviewers, and then they delete the post, but then someone else either has a screen cap of it or a link to the Google Cache version of it, which is basically just a picture image of the blog post. So you can't. It's not an actual website you can click around, but the words are documented there.
Yeah. So that's sort of like, we can still apply that to internet safety. It's like, even if you think that not many people are reading your story or your blog post or watching your vlog or whatever, so you think it's not a big deal, it might come back later to bite you if you become more popular.
Yeah,
and even before then, it only takes one creepy person to stumble across a key piece of information for you to make it scary.
Or to have an issue with it's like the Stop the Goodreads Bullies people that posted information for the reviewer on their website for everyone to see, and she later got like death threat phone calls. That is really, really scary. If someone has a problem with you, you don't even necessarily have to be famous. Someone just has to have an agenda against you.
And it's not always like just like that's terrifying, but it's also bad when it's like reputation-wise. Like there's this girl who I went to school with a while ago, and basically she had her Twitter on public, and she was tweeting not great things, like some pretty offensive things, and something of hers leaked out and got into the news, and she became a hot topic, and everybody rushed to her Twitter page, and she shut it down as fast as she could to try to hide everything she had said, but people had screenshot like literally all of her history. It's amazing how quickly it can happen, and she was obviously in the wrong in the situation, but like, be careful of what you say. Make sure you like read it 3 times before you send it. Do you need to say it?
And I think this goes along for like fans and stuff too, definitely, because a lot of us are fans as well as writers, and so sometimes we want to like tell our favorite author how much we love them and how cool we think they are, but sometimes it's really easy to cross the line into creepy without realizing it, and suddenly you're making someone else feel harassed or uncomfortable. And it's just bad.
Know the boundaries.
Yeah, same goes for anything like, say, like jokes or, like, I've had readers be like, oh, if you don't upload the next chapter, I'm going to kill you. And it's like, okay, I understand that this is a figure of speech more than anything.
Yeah, didn't you have a reader say something like, oh, you were at the same place at the same time or something. You're like, oh, I would have strapped you to a chair and made you tell me what happened next. No, even joking, like in pure jest, that's not cool.
Yeah, and luckily I knew the reader. I chatted with the reader before. I knew they weren't serious. But if I didn't know that reader or I didn't chat with them before, it would have been very scary. So yeah, you definitely do have to be careful what you say, because you know that you have a joking tone. That doesn't come across on the internet. Sarcasm doesn't come across. Joking doesn't come across.
It is a catch-22 though. As a writer, you really do have to have a visible author platform so that people can find you and find your work and your books, and they want to see what you're thinking, and like they want to see what you do. You want to follow your favorite authors on Twitter and see them on Goodreads and interact, because that's exciting. But you can't be so open that you're like vulnerable.
Yeah.
So it's a tough line to walk.
Yeah. And it's hard because I think watching other authors or following them on Twitter and all their different social media things, even if you're like tweeting at them like once a week or something, they get a lot of tweets, and so trying to it sometimes feels like you're friends with them, you can say whatever to them and it'll be fine, everyone will understand. But like, authors have pretty big fan bases, and while they are really awesome and they connect really well with their readers, that doesn't mean you're best friends. And so it does mean you still need to have some form of like etiquette so that you don't make them scared and feel like they need to get the police involved.
And I think that goes with a lot of differences, not just big writers either. Like, I know that even us with this channel, like, it's really hard for us to go through and reply or comment to every single thing that we receive. So we try to do as much as we can, but just because someone skips over, something that you wrote, it doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, we're skipping over it on purpose.
Yeah.
And you see that a lot with like celebrity tweets. It's like, oh my God, subscribe to me or follow me on Twitter. It would make me so happy.
It would make my life.
Yeah.
It's my birthday. Say happy birthday.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
We have a comment from Unresolved External. He said he knows someone who went through the Stop the Goodreads bully stuff, and he said it was very terrifying in the sort of thing that weighs you down so badly that you can't even go to sleep because all you can think about is when they're going to post even more defaming you for public view. So,
yeah, that's terrifying.
Well, I was talking to Kelly a while ago, and you know, especially as I feel like an indie author or self-published author might be even more in the like danger zone because you're handling all of your publicity and everything for yourself, so everything that's out there you say. And if you make like even one mistake that someone takes really wrong, it can go bad really quickly.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you have to
I think a large portion of that, though, is because there is a stigma placed on self-publishing, too, so people don't take it as seriously. So it's like, oh, they're doing something bad. Let's take down self-publishing a peg or two. Like,
yeah.
I see what you mean by being in more hot water than anyone else would be, and
I think it's
scary.
Like, say on, I think you just really have to do your research when you're going into when you're like, oh, I'm going to hop on Goodreads and reply to this review. You have to research and realize that
and don't.
Goodreads, you don't do that, because you will get your head handed to you on a platter. You don't do that. But if you don't know that,
yeah, there are certain things you can definitely do. Like, when I do blog tours or cover reveals, I try to make sure I thank people for participating because they don't have to, and they're helping me out. And so I want to, thank you for participating, thank you for doing this. And I try to be really available for, emails with people and book bloggers I chat with as much as I can because it's good to have a good online relationship with the people who are then buying your books or hopefully buying your books.
Yeah.
But, you gotta make sure that what you're writing is not, even if it's a joke, if it's offensive, I can't tell it's a joke. And also, offensive jokes just aren't funny to me. So just don't do it at home, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just about, educating yourself and being careful what you say and being careful what sort of information you post about yourself. And, think from the point of view of somebody. It's hard to think of somebody who would be obsessed as so much that they would go and try to find all of your information. But what's that?
Watch Catfish. It was eye-opening today. It's a show on MTV where basically people pretend to be someone they're not on the internet, and the guy who's figuring out who this catfishing person is, he was able to find out who this girl was really quickly. He looked up he found her name immediately, even though she was posting under a different name and a different username. He was able to find her phone number. Through her phone number, he was able to find out her age, the fact that she had a son, where she lived. He was able to message her directly, and I was like, how can they do all this so, on TV? I mean, obviously she signed a waiver for it afterward, but geez.
You hear about stuff that, the paparazzi do to celebrities, hacking into their cell phones in order to get pictures of them that they have taken on their cell phones. It's how does this even happen?
There was also one of the, what was it called, the revenge porn websites.
Oh, God.
Doing that too, hacking computers and emails and cell phones for looking for pictures or videos like that.
Well, half the time they weren't even naked pictures. They just took these women's faces and pasted them on these pictures. Not much you can do about that except make sure there's not a guy in a panel van outside your house hacking your computer. Very creepy.
I guess I should.
Workers are gonna creep.
Yeah. You can't worry too much about that type of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only so much you can do. If someone really, really, really wants to find out as much as they can, just make sure that they don't find out everything, and you're fine. I've had my share brush with people who become just a tad bit too obsessed for my comfort, and I make sure that everything that I put out there is what I am okay with being out there. And that the stuff is private is actually private and not oh no, I didn't hit friends only, or I didn't mean to post that. You gotta be careful You got to be super aware of your online presence and what is out there, because sometimes you might post something and forget about it. Like years and years ago when people had MySpace. Do you still have a MySpace? Are your pictures still public? Like those things you don't think about until you're like, oh, I should probably go and take all of those terrible pictures down.
Also, it's something to think about. I had another. Oh. Now I can't remember what I was about to say. Oh yeah, no. Even if I have a lot of friends that are friends just on the internet. I haven't met them yet, like you guys. Although I trust you guys a little more than some of the other people that I know you guys a little bit more than some of the other people I chat to on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. So it's important to know, even if you're emailing back and forth or you're private messaging on Facebook, that you don't know necessarily that the person is who they say they are, or you've never met them in person. So don't share intimate details even though the messages are private, right?
Yeah.
Because it's easily that I've heard about stuff where so-and-so emailed this person and then they got in a fight later, and then the other person posted these intimate details on the internet about that person once they became famous, or whatever it is that happens. So just keep that in mind too.
My friend was in a, those like crime show reenactments. She was in an episode where she played a 13-year-old girl who was IMing with some guy who she had fallen in love with, but then he said, oh, I'm outside of your house. And she's like, really? She went to see him, and he's like a 40-year-old man. He pulls her into his car and drives away, kidnaps her. She's in the basement, locked up in a cage for like days before she's rescued. I'm like, no, thank you. Like,
no, thank you.
No, I would prefer not to. Thank you. Thanks for the offer, but I think I'm
gonna be like so paranoid after this chat.
Yeah. But, like the character, or like who's an actual person in real life, she was 13 and she didn't know, like, she was in love with this guy, so she gave him all of her information of where she lives, and they talked about it, and he knew that, like, her parents weren't going to be that attentive to where she was stepping out, like, in the middle of the night. They wouldn't know, so he's like, that may be really terrible.
I'm sure he thought that.
Probably. That exact phrase.
Any more comments?
I'm trying to see.
Thanks for all your comments, guys.
Yeah, friend.
Getting comments.
This one's from a little bit ago. I didn't see it. This is from Rose. She said, I use a fake name in my stories for my school friends, and to be honest, I hate using my real name in stories. If you let your real name slip, what do you do then? How do you handle that type of fear? How do you handle the fact that someone could find you? First, take a deep breath. If they just know your name, it's probably unlikely that they're going to find you. For example, my full name is out there. No one has yet to find me. Please don't try to find me. I'm a very anxious person. I'm trying to use a fake name in my story for my school friends. So if you're sharing this just with your friends, I'm assuming that it's fine to use your real name, unless you don't want them to know you're writing it, and then I probably just wouldn't share it with your friends.
Yeah.
Let me make sure I'm understanding this question. I use a fake name in my stories for my school friends, and I hate using my real name in stories. If you let your real name slip, what do you do? Okay. So if you're using your real name as an author name, like, or a pseudonym, and it accidentally slips out that your pseudonym is a pseudonym and your real name leaks out, you can change your pseudonym. Right?
Which sucks, yeah.
I mean, that would really suck, but you can start writing under a different name. Don't be too worried about letting it slip, though, because the only reason, like, people would be able to find you from your name is if you're like, my name is Erica Crouch at this address.
Yeah, and especially, like, you also have to take into account other websites, too, because if you, like, search your name on Google, like, if they have just one piece of that information, which is, like, your name isn't, like, the top of the list thing to keep secret. As long as you're keeping everything else very secret and very close, if they search your name and they find your name, they're not going to find much on the internet.
Yeah, like when you searched my name a while ago, you would find a surgeon in Washington State, which is not me. Because you don't know, I'm not a surgeon. And if you search Kelly Sheridan for the longest time, you would get the voice of Barbie. But now, if you search Kelly Sheridan, you get like word nerd Kelly Sheridan and her books instead of the voice of Barbie. So there are probably other people with your name, so it's not like the biggest secret in the world. Also, a lot of people know it anyway through school and people saying like, "Hey, Erica," on the street, and then everyone's like, "I know your name now. I know it." So it's not a huge. Don't be terrified. We don't want to monger fear. We just want to be like realistic about safety in the internet and what to keep private when you want to have a public persona.
And I know when I was younger, writing stories online on like a fan fiction platform, I did not use my real name. Obviously, my name wasn't even what it is now at that point, because I was like 14, and that's scary. And I was very concerned about it when really, like, I didn't need to be. No one's ever been able to find that work that I didn't send the link to. And so it's pretty unlikely that people are going to be, like, digging for it unless you're, like, a bigger name person on Wattpad or on Fiction Press or anything like that.
And for the record, I'm seeing a couple comments about death threats in the comments, just like, you get used to them. No. I don't think you get used to them, but also making death threats online is illegal. So one, like, just don't do it. And two, you can report death threats, and you should probably take all of them seriously, even if it's just to report that it's happening. I know that certain websites have policies where you can report it directly to the website. They will deactivate the person's account. They might even have the contact information to forward on to law enforcement, because that is super illegal.
Super illegal.
And we had another comment from Rose that some woman with inappropriate pictures was harassing her, and she blocked her, called the cops. That's not something you'd normally call the cops for unless it was like a harassment, like actual threats. But do block people who you don't want interacting with you online. That is not an overreaction to block people, even if you know them and just don't want to have any more interactions with them online. Block them. You don't have to be friends with them.
It definitely depends, like, what type of harassment's going on.
If it's just a lot of messaging that's not violent or extreme, blocking them would do. Reporting them sometimes as, like, harassing a harassing user who won't leave you be.
Unfortunately,
especially on... I was going to say, especially on, say, for example, Wattpad, when it's minor, if it's any kind of, like, sexually explicit stuff, that's when you need to definitely report them, and they need to get banned and kicked off the website. So
unfortunately, the police can't help you very much. Stalking. I've had to talk with the police before about stalking, and unless someone is, like, coming to your house repeatedly or they straight up injure you, the police can't do a ton. And it's really unfortunate, and I think things should
I'm sure there will be some laws enacted soon enough, because there are so many cases of cyberstalking, cyberbullying, et cetera, et cetera. I know that, like, extreme cyberbullying that ends in people's suicides is a criminal offense. And you can be charged with it. So, like,
it is definitely hard with cyberbullying for police to do something, because people can be in such different locations. It's not like if someone in your town is stalking you, then the police can actually do something because they live in the same town. But, like, there's a woman. It's the one who's in charge of, like, LeakyCon and everything. I can't think of her name right now. Yeah, she, and her name's Melissa. She has been stalked by someone, but the person is from Australia. So it's really hard because
flown to New York. This person.
But and so, like, the U.S. government has, like the FBI and things, they have tried to do things for her, but there's only so much they can do because it's someone from another country, and so it does make it hard with the internet because people are in such different locations that it's hard for there to be one person or one, like, group of people who can be in charge of the case. That does make it hard for the police.
That got serious really fast.
Just don't be a dick online, everybody. Can we just agree to not... Then this wouldn't be that big of a concern.
That's also kind of a two-way street. Unresolved External made like with the second comment on the list, talking about the Grease Seaman, which is a book, and I actually read the Wikipedia article because I never heard of it. But basically, it's a classic reviewer gives 1 star and a kind of crappy review. and
know if
the
it doesn't have a
author
ton of
replies
reviews.
back saying F off and you're wrong.
Oh,
Obviously,
nope.
didn't read the book. And that, too, can open up an entire world of people attacking you specifically because that's not something that, A, that you should do, and B, it's not seen as being very professional. You never reply
No.
to negative or positive reviews. Like, and that's where the Goodreads bullies came in. Like, you had all of these reviewers posting, and yes, some of them did go over the line. Like, I do have in my head what a review was supposed to be. Attacking the author is never one of them.
Yeah.
But then the actual writers decided to retaliate and open up a can of whoop-ass on the reviewers. Like, it's a two-way street, and it's terrifying and insane, and...
Yeah. And you have to realize, like, as an author, you can't control reviewers. I had a review for Madly Deeply that came out before I had even given Megan, like, the first, like, beta copy of Madly Deeply. It was a 5-star review, so I'm like, well, thank you. I don't know why you think it's 5 stars, but I appreciate it. Like, it hadn't been to anyone yet, so if I had responded to that, even if it was just like, you haven't read this book yet, that's a bad thing to do. Because you never know how it's going to be taken. Plus, it didn't hurt me, even if it was a 1-star review. Like, that would have sucked. But it's not physically hurting you. It's just kind of, like, annoying. So don't respond to negative reviews.
Yeah, you have to think of reviews as one of two things. Either one, the person legitimately didn't like the book. And two, they're just being an ass and want to try to get you to do something.
Yeah.
Because there are people out there that are like that are like, I'm just going to negatively review a lot of stuff to see what I can stir up. So it's just in your best interest for your career and for your online identification to just not go into that territory. Like, even if it's like a positive review, you don't even to say thank you is a bit too much. Like, reviews are made for other readers, not for the writers. They're good to read and to see how people are, like, receiving you, but they're just not meant for you to reply to.
Amen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of comments just about different types of cyberbullying, which I always get really pissed off about cyberbullying because it's the most cowardly way to bully someone. Like, oh, you can't see my face, so now I'm going to talk shit about you. Anyway, this one's from Lally Donald. She says, a while ago, a bunch of people were harassing her friends. She asked them to stop, and then the person who was harassing them told everybody else, harass her. And then Lally went to tell them, like, stop, and then everybody was like, now harass her. Like, here's the thing, if you provoke trolls, and that's really what this person obviously is, harassing someone just to get them angry, it's going to do no good. It's kind of like real-life bullying. Like, if you're bothered by it, they're excited, and if you're not bothered by it, they get bored. And that's a terrible thing to think, but just delete the comments, delete them from friends, block them from friends. That's as much as you can do. And
because it's like they should not be doing it. Like, they are not nice people if they are bullying you. And it's unfortunate that we as online platform builders have to be the ones who are, like, safeguarding against the bullies because they're going to be there and do things if we do other things.
And it's definitely but
it also comes back to...
Oh, go ahead.
What was that? Sorry, your mind's lagging so much. I was just going to say, it also comes back to, like, occasionally when you get that one person who's decided to cyberbully you or consistently send you messages. That's why it's better not to engage the trolls because that's what they want. And you don't know if it's the type of troll who's just going to reply back to you a few times and go, haha, got you, or if it's the type of troll that's the more dangerous, not so nice trolls that are going to continue to harass you after they've hooked you in with the initial comment, right?
Yeah, and you definitely have to realize where that level of, like, severity is for the harassing. Like, if you're going to be a writer, you're going to be a public figure who's going to get, unfortunately, probably some backlash to something, whether it's a negative review or some kind of, like, really mean comments or critiques about your looks or whatever. You do have to grow a thick skin with some of this, but when it crosses a certain line, you need to take action to either stop it or block them, or if it's serious enough, report them to whatever authority there may be. to patrol this.
It's hard with stuff like Twitter because I know that they don't have very good things in place to prevent that type of thing. But yeah, definitely don't reply and block them if you can.
Yeah,
Like,
you can report
people.
a user's account to Twitter as well.
They don't do much.
It doesn't do very much.
They don't do much.
Yeah, you can report them, you can block them, and hope for the best. Like, they might make another account. You'll just have to, it's something that you're just going to have to be aware of. If it's like a real problem, just keep on top of it.
Constant vigilance.
Vigilance!
Vigilance.
Like a superhero!
That's really what I thought.
I'm thinking of SpongeBob.
I hear a vigilant and I think of Mad Eye Moody. So
See, Mad Eye Moody, and I thought of SpongeBob immediately when they're at the top of the building. Vigilant! With Merman and Barnacle Boy. No, just me?
Nice.
Is that just me? Okay.
Yeah, just you.
Oops. Kelly's in the comments. So hello,
I know, I
Kelly.
spotted her.
And Kelly is here in spirit and in the comments, so she's alive. She's just down below. I am Mean Geek made a comment just saying he wanted to meet us sometimes but doesn't want to be creepy. Yes, here's the thing. If you ever see us in public, it probably would be best to not approach because I think all of us might get a little startled or violent accidentally. Like when I'm startled by accident.
Maybe you.
I would be okay if you saw me at the grocery store.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you come to my city,
jump out of me, yeah.
I'll call the police.
Okay, so we've established that
Grocery store
Erica is the only one that will get violent if you meet her in public.
Not on purpose. It would be like if I'm walking to the car and you jump out from around my car, I'm probably going to punch you right in the face.
Well, yeah, that's a reflex.
Oh,
I'm not going to do that either.
I didn't mean to punch you. Don't jump out. That's someplace
I don't think he means I'd like to pop out of the bushes and meet you. I think he just means like, hi.
When I think of people meeting me, I'm like, startled. Immediately startled.
That's how Erica normally meets people, apparently.
Yeah. Sorry. When I meet you guys
When
for the
we
first
meet her,
time.
we're gonna have to like approach very cautiously.
And it will be great. Leila will come up to me at the airport when we're going somewhere, and she'll tap me on the shoulder and be like, boom! Oh, Kaylin!
So we'll have to approach from
I
the
have a
front.
megaphone and I was like, Erica, I am approaching on your left.
Erica's like a horse. You like have to approach her from the front, not behind.
And hold candy in the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
So it doesn't bite.
Soothe me down, it's fine.
I hear come with a bag of Jolly Ranchers. You like, I offer a sacrifice.
Shake, shake, shake. You can.
I do think that having a meetup is something that would be a lot of fun. At this point in our online careers, though, we aren't big enough to warrant doing that or to be able to afford doing that or published enough to have enough fans to want to come to one of those things. But hopefully in the next coming few years, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll go to like VidCon or one of the YouTube conventions.
Yeah.
Someday we'll be famous enough to go to VidCon.
Walk around in a group, snapping our fingers like a gang. This is why I shouldn't go in public ever. I accidentally punch people, now I'm snapping. Nobody knows what to expect.
Well, snapping is pretty
That can work out though, because like you can punch and then we'll just come up behind you, like
Yeah.
you know, it'll work.
I'll be the front of the
that ambiance of don't sneak up and jump out of bushes.
War Nerds, the musical.
So if you learned anything from that little segment, when you want to meet somebody, don't jump out of bushes or around from the side of their car.
Caution.
In case that wasn't obvious.
Approach like a human being.
Yeah.
And I'll try to respond like a human being.
Yeah.
I can't promise anything, but I will do my best.
Yeah, because I know, like, if I ran into an author I really liked or a vlogger that I really liked, I would want to go up and be like, hey, I love your stuff.
But yeah, that would be cool.
Be like about it. Like, I love your stuff. I'm a writer, too. I hope it works out.
Or like,
let them kind of guide the conversation.
Like, I am. Don't follow me home.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Please don't. I'll take multiple back roads.
Well,
You get lost before I do.
it was like Charlene Harris. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that. She's the author of the Suki Stackhouse books. And she had fans that actually show up on her doorstep and be like, hey, can you sign the books? And it's like, no, that's not okay.
No.
And she said that she just, yeah, no, well, she said that she did, like, because she was too spooked to say no, so she just signed them and acted like really nice, and then was like, oh my god, and went back inside and then started making plans to move. Like, that's crossing the line, you know?
Well, I know there are a bunch of YouTubers who are like daily vloggers who vlog kind of around their house, and people have found them at their house, and they've had to move as a result of it. Like, if you see them in a public place with people and it's daytime, feel free to say hello. But if I'm like walking alone at night and someone's like, hey, aren't you from the Word Nerds? I'm going to be a little bit worried. I'm going to be like,
I'm going to say no. I'm just going to say
I'm
not.
No, that's somebody else that looks nothing like me.
Like, no, I get that all the time.
All the fans.
Who is this Word Nerds thing? I need to find them out because that's the fifth time I've heard it today. But yeah, like it'd be fine and complimentary even if like you were at the grocery store or like a public place like the library or somewhere where there are people around. Yeah. And someone's like, I'm a fan of your book or your vlogs or your blog or something. That's cool. Just don't like look around your surroundings and be like, is it appropriate to do it now?
And if you do it, don't expect like a very large conversation, because the odds are you're catching them at a time that may not be the most convenient. They're obviously there for a reason, or they're shopping, or they're doing whatever they need to do. So don't feel like it's a personal, diss on you if it's just a quick hey, hello, oh, thank you for reading, or thank you for watching, or whatever, and then you go on about your business. Like, they're people too, they're busy,
Yeah, and that was actually one of the complaints that a lot of people gave at the YouTube conventions is when you go to the meet and greets where you stand in this like massive line for hours to get a picture and an autograph with whoever you're waiting for. It's just like you get a picture and autograph and like you have maybe 2 sentences to have a conversation and then you're done. And a lot of people were upset by that because, you were hoping for more. But when there's like a long line at something like that, or when you're out in the real world and you're like doing stuff, like
from what I understand, that's a standard at cons. Like if you're paying money, if you're in a line for an autograph or for like a photo op, like you're not there to be buddy with them. You're there to say hi, show them how much you love their stuff, and then move on so the next person can come. Otherwise, they're going to be there for forever.
Yeah, and I've seen some of these like vloggers vlog at the conventions. It's scary. They went out of their hotel room and there's like suddenly a mob around them. I'd be like, oh,
this is vloggers. That's crazy.
Like it can get really intense. They were screaming like it was like One Direction or something. They were like bananas, and I would be very nervous about that. But like it's cool. It's exciting that people are excited about things other people are doing, but just know the boundaries of propriety. Just respect.
Well, I would never have thought like if I'm standing in line to see my favorite author and have them sign the book, I wouldn't expect more than like 2 or 3. Back and forth, like, oh, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I love your books, and oh, thanks for coming. And
that'd be enough to get me to my death.
Yeah. Well, they have a lot of people behind me. If you have like a half an hour conversation, you got a whole lineup behind you waiting. So
I know a lot of people do get mad about that though, but it's just like expectations. Set them correctly.
Right. So if you're going in a line like that, like think ahead of something that you want to say.
Yeah.
That way you go out there and you say exactly what you want when you want. Of course, I will have like the perfect 3 sentences scripted out in my head, and then I go up there and it's just gonna be like, you sign this? And like, I feel like that would be my face. Like if I ever like saw like if I was walking somewhere and like John Green was there, I would not purposely be that creepy girl that's just like, I don't know what to do. Say hi. So I'll just kind of like stand there for a second and
I'd be worried if I
saw
John Green,
whether or not I should even do anything.
I'd be worried if I saw someone so like, I'd just be like, well, I'm just gonna leave you be and pretend I don't know it's you. And I want to have a face, but just know that I'm here and freak it out.
The worst thing was that I'm so bad at faces that unless he looked exactly like his Twitter picture, I'd just walk right past him. And then later someone would be like, that was John Green. And I'd be like, damn.
See, I've watched enough Ball Brothers videos to where I've got him down. Like, If I saw him, I'm like, okay, I think that was him, and then a double take, I'm like, oh my god, that's him.
I would just panic though. I would panic way too much to go up and say
Exactly.
something.
My mind would just go blank.
Are you John Green?
Like whenever I get really nervous or like if I'm like caught off guard, like I lose all control of everything, and I don't remember my own name, let alone coherent words to say to make sense.
I saw James Dashner when I was at a writing conference, and I just like walked by him staring. I was like, I want to say something. I want to say something.
Right?
The moment's passed. I can't say anything.
You don't think of anything, but you're like, I wonder how I look from the outside. Like, do I look as terrified as I feel?
Well, when I get panicked, I usually freeze. Like, I get very still and very quiet, and it's like, is she a statue? What's happening right now? It's just like playing mannequin, just like, don't move, nobody can see me.
I'm sure they have that happen to them all the time, though. Like, they see someone staring at them with, like, massive, slightly crazy-looking eyes, and they're like, oh, there's another fan that isn't sure what she should say to me. I
feel like I would respond better to that and be like, hello, and then they could, like, approach, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like if I saw someone, like, I'm going to respect and just stay at a distance, I'd be like, look at you. You can talk to me.
Right?
I'd be excited.
That was, like, me and Diana Gabaldon. She comes to the Surrey International Writers Conference every year, and I kept like going past her and then being like, and then I would chicken out. And then one time she was going down she was going down the stairs and I was going up or something like that. I don't remember. I was petrified in the moment, and I went to say something to her and I tripped. And I almost like face planted into Diana Gabaldon, and luckily she didn't notice me because she was turned away talking to someone else. But I'm like, oh my god, I almost like football tackled Diana Gabaldon. Like it was this close, and then I just chickened out and never said anything to her that whole conference. Because that would be me. I'd knock her teeth out or something.
Or I would be worried if I met someone at a conference and like I didn't know who they were, and they're like, are you just pretending to play it cool, or like, do you actually have no idea who I am? And I'd be like, should I be freaking? And then I'd start freaking out, even not knowing who they are. I'm like, should I be freaking out? Who are you? Who are you? Tell me who you are. Oh, the internet is weird. Actually, Dana just said that. The internet is weird. At BookCon, she spoke to a blogger who was there for BEA, and she said, I love your blog. It was an awkward way to start a conversation. The internet is weird.
Internet is very weird. Internet is very weird, but it is very awesome, and you don't need to be like afraid to build your platform. You need to be cautiously aware of what's going on around you, but it's going to be so worth it to have the platform built.
Yeah, it's definitely. We've talked about this before, and I've read a book and recommended it in one of the I almost said Teaser Tuesdays, the Reader's Nook Tuesday videos. It's a book all about like the importance of platform, especially if you're writing any kind of nonfiction. It's like vital. But if you're writing fiction, it's equally as important because people want to know like why, who you are, where to contact you, where to read more about you, why they want to read your books, when your next book is coming out. You want to be there. Because if you're not there, some parody account's going to pop up and pretend to be you.
That's going to be awkward.
You guys, we have to watch our language. Lally Donald's 7-year-old sister is in the room.
We've been good.
I did drop a D word, and I never swear.
That's hardly a swear.
When you said it, I don't know that I would want a 7-year-old say.
Yeah, it's in the Bible. It's fine.
Oh, come on. You want to know some of the stuff that's in the Bible?
Hold on. And for the record, by the time I was 7, I knew every swear word, and I went to a Catholic school, so who knows what this 7-year-old
Yeah,
knows.
well, you know more when you're at a Christian school. It was the same with me.
That's
Eat
true.
them all.
It's fast, and you're like, the nuns better not hear this.
Also, Erica, Unresolved External wrote a story about you.
I just read it, and I love it because I'm a ninja in it, and I would really love for this to actually happen. But I wouldn't want to hurt somebody unless, unless it were...
Just incapacitate them.
Yeah, just a little bit.
You could just stun them slightly with your ninja skills.
I could knock them out with a helmet.
Ninja, I'm sorry.
But maybe ninjas are really tall because they can like blend into the shadows, and shadows stretch. Shadows stretch. So I was on the floor like a shadow. It's fun.
Okay, we'll go with
I've got
that.
great agility.
I just read the story. I like how the end you bow and you're like, oh, it's nice to meet you too. After
Oh,
you
I'm sorry. I just realized we're just a fan. Thank you.
that was awesome.
Oh dear.
Oh man. So we've been going for an hour. Do we have more to discuss?
We should probably wrap it up unless anyone has any last points to go over.
Anybody?
Well, Kelly made a comment that she walked by James Marsters from Spike from Buffy on the street in Toronto once, and her friend noticed, and they had to double back to confirm, but she didn't notice it the first time she walked by. So
I would just die if I saw him on the street. I don't know what I would do. Probably just stand still and my mouth would hang open and I wouldn't be able to approach him. Oh, you're from Buffy. I know you. Kelly meets all these famous people. What the heck?
Yeah,
Kelly
we all need to move to Toronto.
So cool.
Gotta move somewhere cool.
Yeah, I'd expect you to meet all the cool people because they film all sorts of sci-fi shows and.
Well, Supernatural is filmed here.
Yeah, Supernatural.
And I get my stalker on.
A lot of sci-fi shows are filmed up there.
Yeah, so is Fringe.
Mm-hmm.
Or was it over
there?
Yeah.
Yeah, Stargate was.
Stargate. Actually, I drove past some kind of movie set thing, but it was all fenced in, and I was like to my husband, I was like, "Stop the car!" And he was like, "No."
Yeah, I know that Once Upon a Time is filmed in some small town called Steveston.
Oh.
Steveston.
In the U.S. probably, right?
No, it's near Vancouver.
Oh.
hey, Aaron, you should
Find it.
You should see it. Go find Hook.
Captain Hook.
Oh, I so want to find Hook.
They're really good. I've noticed on Twitter. I noticed on Twitter and stuff. They're really good about letting fans come onto the set and stuff. They'll have certain sets blocked off where they're there's a big spoiler that they're filming there or something. But they're always posting pictures of fans who just come onto set and take pictures.
That's so
with, Captain Hook and
awesome.
stuff. Yeah.
My friend got to go on the set of Smallville when they were filming. So jealous. Never met anyone famous. Sad.
Me neither. No, did I? I don't know. If I did, I forgot.
You and I are both recluses, Erica. That's fine.
If I still lived in
Each
Georgia, I
other.
could go onto TV sets because they film all sorts of shows in Atlanta.
Yeah, didn't they film the Hunger Games in Atlanta?
Yeah, and The Walking Dead is filmed there, and The Vampire
that would be
Diaries.
so
And all the Tyler Perry movies.
Oh, yeah.
I totally want to be a zombie extra on The Walking Dead. It's so cool.
I'll just be a dead body.
A dead body. Erica would be like dead body number 2, Erica
No,
Kraft.
you don't even need to put makeup on me. Just lay me down on the train tracks. I'll be fine.
I would enjoy it.
I have a friend who was an extra in that spin-off of The Vampire Diaries, the originals.
Oh, yeah.
They filmed a scene down near my hometown, and I had a friend who was in a scene of it.
What did she do with your dead body?
It was they were having some because I think the originals takes place in the past, and so they were having a ball or something. So he was in a tux, walking into the building.
Oh, cool. See, I've got friends who are extras in Veep or House of Cards because the DC Columbia area, all of my acting friends are they film here, so go and find them. But one of my friends auditioned for The Fault in Our Stars for Gus, and he got the video audition. He should have gotten it.
I never know how you I've looked up online how you go about being an extra, but one, it just sounds like so much work, and two,
there's a lot of waiting.
Yeah, a lot of waiting.
An
I
extra.
don't even know there's nothing that tells you what website to sign up on. I never figured it out.
The Baltimore Sun newspaper just posted something the other day about how I think it was Veep, either Veep or House of Cards was looking for extras, and then that happened today, and everybody showed up. Yeah, the newspaper just put it in an article they're looking for extras at this time.
I think it was House of Cards. I think I even looked at it, but all of the characters they were looking for were 35 and older.
Oh.
I'm
well, I know there was a casting call, and I was so mad I missed it because it was for X-Men because they filmed it in Victoria.
Oh, cool.
At Hatley Castle, I think. But anyways, I didn't see the casting call until later, and I was so mad. But those twins that were in the first X-Men, they went to somebody I knew went to their high school, and they're like, oh, they never shut up about how they were an X-Men.
Like, I wouldn't like
I'd talk about it all the time. Remember that time
I was
we
an
were
X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
I was in the left-hand screen for like 1 second walking by.
Put it at the top of every resume and start every conversation. Well, that one time when I was an X-Men, I loved eating candy.
I had a sandwich just like that.
Oh, like, that's a banana? Oh, when I was an extra on X-Men, somebody was eating a banana in the break room.
It was great.
Oh gosh, she never stops talking about X-Men.
We would be those people.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
We're the best and the worst. All right, so
you mentioned The Fault in Our Stars, so now my brain is mushed. So.
Oh
yeah.
no, I've got it. No.
No.
Pain. All right,
Okay.
so we've been going for about just a little bit over an hour, and should we wrap it up?
Probably.
Yeah, we've gotten sufficiently off topic.
Yes. Kelly's not here to whip us in line, so.
Yeah, that's right.
So I will close us down here. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. We hope you found some of our insights insightful into security and cyberbullying and your online platform as an author, writer, blogger, etc. Basically, bottom line of it is know what's public and know what's not, and know what you want to be public and what you don't want to be public, and be careful. Really think about what you're sharing online because it's out there and you can't get it back. So next week we will have a different topic that I don't know that we've talked about, so I'm not going to announce it right now. We'll announce it tomorrow.
Watch the video tomorrow to find out
my
what
video.
it is.
Oh, great. But we are so glad for all of your comments. Thank you for watching us, and we will see you next week. We love you, nerds. Goodbye.
Stay safe.